Hello everyone, this is John once again here on my YouTube channel, and today we're going to be talking about wedge fitting, which is what I have in my hand. I have a Mizuno S23 54-degree wedge in my hand. I'm going to talk a little bit about wedge fitting and how that works. Wedge fitting, what you typically want to do, and this is particularly indoors, if you're doing it in a fitting bay, for example, so take a piece of a lie board, number one, is the first thing you need. And then put some electrical tape on the bottom, and then hit 3 or 4 shots off of that board. And what does that do? It's going to tell you where it wears on the sole. Not only on the sole from toe to heel, but it's also going to show you from the back of the sole to the front of the sole. And that's the one that's really important with wedges, because what that does, where you are marking on that electrical tape when you hit off the lie board, if it tells you, if you're doing it right here on the leading edge, that means that you need a lot of bounce, because you have a very steep golf swing and you're probably taking good sized divots on your wedges. If it's more towards the middle, it's probably just a middle of the road grind, and bounce, of course. If you're taking very little, then you're coming in very shallow. If you're hitting on the back of the sole. So where you're marking on that sole is going to tell you how much bounce you need. Now, what is bounce? Bounce is basically the angle from the back of the sole to the front of the sole. So if I do it like this, is it like this? Is it like this? How much incline do we have from the back of the sole to the very front of the sole? Now, it varies. Generally speaking, most people are what I would call a mid bounce, and they're like, bounce it has a number value that starts about 4 and it goes all the way up to 14. Most people somewhere in the 10 range usually. So again, how the size of your divot is going to determine how much bounce you need. If you don't take a lot of divot, then you need less bounce. If you take a big divot, then you need more bounce, and you need a wider grind, and so that it will help you not dig it so much, and take these big beaver felt divots on your wedge shots. So that's bounce. Now grind, what we're talking about is the heel and toe relief. Is it rounded on the toe and the heel? And also, how wide is the sole? I mean, if it's a really skinny sole, that's kind of more of a grind for someone who comes in very shallow, and a thicker, more heel relief, and a thicker and wider sole. When you're talking about grind, that's for somebody, again, that's the average golfer that takes a lot of divot and is very steep and has a lot of dig in their stroke, and they really dig into the ground, which is not good, obviously. But so that's grind and bounce, which are two big. Now now we're going to turn our attention to the face. Now, when you're talking about the face of the golf club, now how should you contact it on the face? What should you look for in your trajectory? So when it comes to a wedge fitting, what's important is, like we've been talking about, finding the right bounce and how that interacts with the turf and how it's going to be best for your golf swing. And get it as efficiently through the turf as you can. That's part one. But part two is, okay, where are we hitting it on the face? So when where are you hitting on the face? Well, what you don't want to do is hit it, high up on the face. It's going to go up high and land short. That's typically what happens. It's very frustrating. Even in my game, I tend to have that sometimes. So the goal is to be somewhere in the 5th to 6th groove down there. That's where we want to contact it. Some really good golfers, and when you look at their wedges, you're going to see they were wearing out that spot in the lower part of the face. Because what you want to do with a wedge, the really best wedge players hit a moderate ball flight, they hit one bounce and stop. That's what you want to look for. That's where your best wedge shots are going to come from. The bad wedge shots come from when you're hitting it up here on the face, not down here in the 5th or 6th groove, and it's just going up in the air and just coming up short. So the key is hitting it on the right part of the face. And another aspect of getting that correct is going to be the lie, of course. And that hit off the lie board, that's going to tell you, it's going to help identify whether you need upright or flat. Maybe you need to bend it upright or flat, depending on where you're striking it on the heel. If you're hitting it more on the toe, then going more upright, getting the toe up in the air is going to help. If you're somebody that's more on the heel side, then of course you want to go toe down to get that more in the center. So you have to play with that. Whatever your marking says on the bottom, as far as lie, then bend it a degree or two one way or the other. I wouldn't recommend bending it more than 1 to 2 degrees. Bend it more than that, then you alter the way the club is supposed to perform, and then it could even break in some cases. So we don't want to do that. So, but just find out, get the right trajectory, get the right turf interaction with your wedge, and you're going to continue to become a really good wedge player. And of course, wedge and putter is probably the best way, along with your driver too. Those 3 clubs, but wedge is one of those that's critical to shooting lower scores and being a better golfer. So those are kind of the things to look for, and whether it's an indoor or outdoor. Now, I think it's always better to do wedge fitting outdoors. I think you're going to be able to see the ball flight a lot better and see how it interacts with the grass, because it interacts different on a mat. It's different than hitting it off of grass, so can be challenging indoors to do a wedge fitting. But if you can, do it outside. But these are kind of the principles, whether it's indoor or outdoor, that will help you become the best wedge player that you can. Okay, so next time we're going to be talking about getting into the golf ball and all the different golf balls, and how do I know which one I should have, and what a ball fitting is going to look like. And we're going to talk about some ways to find what golf ball is right for you. But until then, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.